Hi everyone. So I've come on here to talk to you about my relationship with the hijab and how it's evolved over the years. So I started wearing the hijab when I was 12 years of age, and that was when I went into secondary school. So and as I remember that day, I remember it was the most exciting day of my life. It was really, really special. So me and my mum had gone and got a uniform, got a blazer, pinafore, t-shirt, a tie and tights and new shoes. And then I got to buy my first hijab. And we went to a Muslim local shop that sells hijabs. And I remember picking out, I obviously had to wear black because that was the school rules. Um, so I chose a black one and it had all these like little glitter on them. Um, Obviously I'm a little bit extra anyway. But and I remember going into school that first day, that first morning, I wore my uniform and obviously I knew I was going to get blisters from my new shoes. But the thing that I was most excited about was wearing the hijab for the first time. And my cousins who were already in school, who were older than me, they were already wearing it. So I was so excited to join that community and to be a part of that identity. I never really understood the spirituality of wearing the hijab and my faith around it. But all I knew is that, you know, I wanted to be a part of that sisterhood and that community. And I didn't know how to wear a hijab. Like I didn't know how to put one on like properly. It was only until that morning I said to my mum, "Can you teach me?" So she told me to literally face the mirror and she stood behind me. And yeah, she showed me how to do it in the mirror. She put one pin here, one pin here. And and that was really sentimental. I mean, even the fact that I'm talking about it right now for the first time, it's so special. um, so why am I talking about this? Firstly, because it's important. Secondly, because I'm working on a project called HijabSpeaks, which was part of my Metal residency last year. And I was looking at the hijab regulations in Europe, also the United Kingdom. And as most of you know, I'm very active and social on themes around Islamophobia and racism. And and I wanted to explore what that relationship with the hijab is and how where does that journey change and where does it evolve and what impact does our environment have on women who wear the hijab. So when did I realise my relationship with the hijab was a challenging one? I would say was when I was at the age of 14. And that was the first time I think where I heard my first racist and Islamophobic language. I never really understood exactly what the words meant because they would use the P word, but then we would challenge them and say, we're not Pakistani, we are Yemeni, we are Arabs. So it was about real understanding why that language was used and then understand actually it's a racial slur. And then I remember a young lad got on the bus and he said to us and me and my Muslim friends, what are you wearing on your head? Is that a towel? And I remember for the first time thinking, logically, it's just a cloth, like it's just, made out of wool or maybe silk or. But I realised something felt wrong because the way he said it full of hate. And I knew that he hated us for many reasons because he made a comment about our skin colour, the hijab on our head, how we were dressed, the language we spoke. And that's when I really understood that the hijab, I was going to say the hijab is threatened. No, people are threatened by it. But obviously at that age and that, you know, you're not taught how to deal with these things. We weren't taught. No one gave us an instruction book how to, first how to even report it, but even acknowledge the language. We weren't ever taught by our parents or, so it was a challenge. And you know, honestly, like when I look back on my like well-being at the time, I was not in a good place. And me and my peers, obviously at the time, we weren't very open about our mental health, or, but it took a toll on kind of questioning who we are and why do people hate us so much. And so obviously looking back at that, my relationship with hijab really evolved, and it really impacted on my relationship with my faith and my spirituality. And alhamdulillah, you know, I'm a time in my life where I understood that now, but looking back, it literally took a toll on everything. But what's interesting is I became an activist. And people say, you know, what is an activist? What is the purpose of being an activist? And I think, honestly, I'm not going to talk about the threads of being an activist, but I think it's that fire in your stomach and you want to see change. You believe in justice. Like, you wake up in the morning and you choose justice. That was me every single day. After we faced so many Islamophobic, verbal and physical abuse, I literally every day was like, I'm choosing justice. We will get justice, because why do people hate us so much? So I started writing poetry about hate, and not Islamophobia, because there wasn't the actual definition, the word or the definition for it. But I was questioning identity and heritage, and I was questioning the existence of humans and behaviour. And so wearing the hijab was not only just a spiritual one, or it was an exciting one anymore, it was an active thing. It was part of saying that we exist. And it was a part of me personally, part of that resilience. I'm going to keep it on, because there's people who don't like it and I don't know why. But I'm going to keep it on because I want to find out more. So it was that like kind of like, you know, energy of trying to like, and yes, sometimes I would provoke conversations because I wanted answers. And what I meant by provoke is I would answer back, I would defend, whereas most people would just try and like think about themselves and protecting themselves and others in case there was any physical abuse. But I was like, no, I want to know. So I would question it. And yes, it did put me in a situation where I was beat up. I was beat up by a lad who was older than me in year 11, and he punched me, and yeah, and I was left with like a big black eye, and yeah, it could have been worse. I mean, the situation, the thing that I always never ever forget is we were at a school bus stop outside Holly Lodge, and there was a black car, and I remember it. It was a black car. It was I can't remember the brand, but anyway, it literally stopped outside the bus stop, and they took this big massive water gun out and they sprayed us, like literally with water. And at the age of 15, I said to my friends, because we were laughing, you know, just being like squirted with water. And I remember when they went, oh, and they did shout a racist slur. They shouted the P word. So I knew already that even though we were excited and jumping from the water, because we're kids and kids are allowed to have fun with water, right? But when they shouted the racist slur word, then that's when we realised this was a racial attack. But I remember saying to my friends, today it is a water gun, tomorrow it could be the real thing. And that's when I realised that relationship with the hijab just grew with anger and frustration. And I was like, why do I feel unsafe on the streets? From year 7, being the most excited Muslim girl, wearing the hijab for the first time, by coming out of school at year 11 thinking, I feel unsafe wearing my hijab in today's society. and that is sad. But you know what? I'm 27. I left school about 10 years ago. Nothing has changed. It's even more dangerous because people and young kids are carrying weapons on a daily basis. Muslim women are being pushed and shoved on rail tracks. You know, like, this is a life, sometimes it is between life and death. So I'm doing this project called HijabSpeaks because at 27 I've been able to do some fantastic projects on social cohesion and looking at kind of like rebuilding a society where we are changing things, influencing policy. So HijabSpeaks is about that. It's about what I've just done right now. It's about talking about my relationship with the hijab and talking openly how it evolved and the impacts and the frustration, but also the exciting part, and talking about the joy of it. And we are in the month of Ramadan, and as the month of Ramadan, you know, blesses the Muslim community, but also non-Muslim community, as they witness the Muslim community fast and pray. And there's many Muslim women who are wearing the hijab for the first time, and that can be a very difficult but also an exciting journey. So I guess we are living at a time where I'm scared and I'm questioning what the future would look like for Muslim women who wear the hijab by choice, especially in Western societies. And where do we sit in influencing policy that speak to us directly, that protect us? You know, the saddest thing about it is, even as a professional, this hinders my work. When I'm given a job that's outside the UK, I research a lot about the place and I make sure that I'm taking direct routes, and sometimes that can be expensive. It affects every aspect of our lives because it is about safety. And this project, I'm going to be talking about it for the next few weeks. So please keep an eye out on my social media. I will have a logo will be coming out and a call out, and hopefully an iftar. And I'm looking for Muslim women who are campaigners and artists to join me on a Zoom kind of meeting to talk to me and discuss with me about some ideas that they may have. Because this is really an open project. Like, I really want this to speak to Muslim women who wear the hijab. I don't know what the final result would look like as an art piece, but it'll definitely have something physical about it, which I will share in the next few weeks. Anyway, thank you for listening to me. This was really just improvising. There was no script. I just spoke. I put on the camera and I spoke straight to the camera. And I wanted to see what it feels like to talk about that journey if I'm going to be asking other people to talk about theirs. And it's made me think a lot. And I'm going to go away and reflect. And maybe kind of like restructure my question a little bit more. Because when I asked myself, what is my relationship with the hijab, I went everywhere. I took you back. And I went forward and back. And I think it's because that journey has evolved so much through the years. But you know what? The thing that's missing is the conversation around care. Because I'm emotional, I feel down, I feel a bit affected. And that's because we haven't ever given ourselves the space to talk about our well-being around this conversation. So yeah, so this is where I am, and I'm going to end it here because this is a nice finish. Also to protect me. With the breathing exercises. And yeah, alhamdulillah. Right, goodbye and thank you for listening.